So to start, I'd like to go through how our release cycle works and how our roadmap is decided. Now you can see from the image on the screen, we have 4 types of input into our product roadmap. The first one is sales. Our sales team tell our product team what our customers require so we can remain competitive in our industry and win new business. Our second team is our professional services team. Now our PS team work really close with our customers and lots of businesses, and they tell the product team how Brightpearl should work. Then we have our support team. Now our support team acts as the voice of all of our customers, and they tell our product team what we need to fix. And finally, and most importantly, our customers. We take feedback from our customers so we can grow and evolve our product to meet the needs of their growing and evolving businesses. Now, as many of you are aware, we are still working our way through an initiative called Focus on the Core. This simply means sales don't get a say in our product roadmap anymore, as we focus 100% of our attention on defects and areas of improvement for existing customers. Now, we aim for around 2 releases a month. Now, users can see their current version by looking at the URL in their web browser as shown in the image on the screen. We also notify our customer community of new releases via Twitter, and you can see our Twitter ID on the screen. And we publish all release notes, and they're documented and published via our webpage, which is brightpearl.com/releases. We also make releases available to our Brightpearl community forum, and you can also see the URL on the screen. And of course, we have a monthly webinar, which I'm running now, to talk to our customers for the new features and fixes. Now, we have another release coming up in November, and then we move, which is our final Christmas release. As we are approaching Thanksgiving and the Christmas period, for many of our customers, this is peak season, and we will relax our release cycle to ensure consistency in your business systems and no changes are made to Brightpearl. In other words, we're allowing our customers to roll up their sleeves and concentrate on business as usual. Therefore, we'll have a release in November, and the next release we'll aim for is in January 2014. Okay, so let's get into this release. In this webinar, I'm going to be talking you through functionality from the last 3 releases, which is 454, 455, and 456. And you can see our live version is now 456. Okay. So the first feature I'd like to talk you through is called bundles on sales orders. Now, to more clearly group the items in bundles together, we have changed the way that bundles are displayed on sales orders. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm just going to open up the sales order in Brightpearl. Now, we can see this order contains different types of products. The first line is our bundle line, and this is defined by our dark grey tag at the beginning of the order line. The next 2 lines are the components that make up that bundle, and this is defined by a light grey line, which defines these are components that belong to a bundle. This did confuse users, as we have here a service line and a single product line, and it was hard for users to tell which items related to a bundle. So we've cleaned this up by adding these tags. The next feature I'd like to talk about is a beta feature, and it's currently available to US customers only, and that is check printing. Now, one of our most requested features is the ability to print checks from Brightpearl. So to demonstrate this, first of all, I'm going to show you where in the system this is set up. So I'm going to go to Setup, and into my template section. And we have a new section here called Check Templates. Now we've got some default templates, and I'm going to just edit the default one that's already there. So obviously you could create multiple templates for different types of stationery. Now The way this works is you get your pre-printed check stationery from your bank, and you can adjust where the fields appear on that pre-printed stationery. So, to demonstrate that, I've got a big field here on the right side, and I'm going to adjust that field by 10 mil. I'm going to move it to the left, and I'm going to refresh that screen. And we can see the date move over. So what I would do, I'd get my pre-printed stationery, which has a unique check number on every single check. I'd photocopy it, get it in the printer, have a play about with the template, and then you can use the photocopied versions rather than waste your actual checks to get it working. Now, to demonstrate how we pay a vendor by check, I first need to find some vendors which we owe money to. So I'm going to go to vendors and accounts payable. And this screen shows me all the invoices that are currently outstanding in Brightpearl for vendors and suppliers. So I can see here we have a supplier, Sports Direct, and we owe them $680. So I'm going to pay this invoice or sets of invoices by clicking on the payment action. And just to note, there's many ways we can get to this payment screen. We can go for the purchase order, the invoice, the account inquiry screen. This is one route to the same screen. The first thing I'm going to do is select my bank account that I'm paying this vendor from, the bank that the checkbook is from. So I'm going to select my bank account. I could enter my own unique reference here. I could put a memo here just to help reconcile this payment. Most importantly, I'm going to put a check number here. Now, this is the check number that is likely to be on your stationery. And the check number that you enter here is going to help you reconcile your bank statements to the payments that exist in Brightpearl. Finally, I'm going to select which invoice I'm paying. So it's this invoice here, $680. I'm going to pay it in full. And I'm going to allocate the payment. So we've paid that invoice, Brightpearl's allocated the journal to the invoice, and now I can print the check. So it shows me a list of payments made to this vendor, and I now have an option to print this check. So I click this button, it takes me to my print modal screen, and it's asking me which template do I want to use, because obviously I can have multiple bank accounts with different stationery for each, and therefore I would have set up different print templates for each check. So I'm going to click my default template and proceed to print. And obviously, I would feed my pre-printed stationery into my printer and print my checks. So that's check printing. The next feature I'd like to talk about is a beta feature, and it's currently only available to US customers, and it's soon to be made available to our UK customers. And this feature is Un-invoicing. Now, for our focus on the core interviews, this is a request that come up often. So up until now, it's not been possible to make any changes to an invoice, sales order, or purchase order. To make a change, the user would have to credit the sales order to process the reversing transaction and create a new order to re-invoice. To demonstrate this, I'm just going to find a sales order in Brightpearl. Or maybe one that somebody isn't editing. Now, as you can see, up until the point I invoice this sales order, I'm still available. I can still change the quantity, the price, the tax amount, etc. And this is often where mistakes are made. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to invoice this sales order, and Brightpearl will post a journal to recognise the revenue against the sales order. What it's going to do next is lock down the sales order lines. Now, because this order is invoiced, I can see it's got its invoice journal number at the top. I can no longer edit anything on the sales order. Now, if I had the wrong price set, I'd have to go and raise a sales credit to reverse this journal, and then raise a new order to process the invoice. We now have a new button at the top, the Un-invoice button. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click the Un-invoice button, which will take me into my memo box. Now, it's important to say, Brightpearl will stop you un-invoicing a sales order if the order is posted into a closed accounting period. So that could be a period which I've already done my reporting from, my management reports are complete. I don't want to be adjusting the figures in those accounting periods. So if those periods are closed, using the closed period function in the accounting area of Brightpearl, it will stop you un-invoicing that order. You will have to go through the traditional way of creating a reversing credit and reposting a new order for the invoice. And as I said, this will become available to our UK customers, and when it does, Brightpearl will stop you un-invoicing a sales order if it's in a reconciled back period. So that means if you've reported your tax liability to HMRC and you've reconciled that back period in Brightpearl, so you've reported that figure back, Brightpearl isn't going to let you adjust those invoices. It'll stop you doing that to make sure that your reported numbers are correct. So for auditing purposes, Brightpearl's going to ask me to put a memo here, why am I un-invoicing this sales order? So I'm going to change this. I'm going to have to say that the price was entered incorrectly. So I'm going to put wrong price here, and I'm going to click the Un-invoice button. Now what Brightpearl will do is actually cancel the journal that was posted in the background. It doesn't delete the journal, it actually cancels it. And you can see the invoice number has gone, my lines have opened up again, and I can now edit the sales order. If I want to see the journal that is cancelled, if I go to Reports and my Corrections report, this shows me all journals that have ever been edited or cancelled in my Brightpearl account. And I can see the journal for my order that I'm playing with here, 615, and it says here, wrong price. And it tells me which user edited that journal, or in other words, un-invoiced the sales order. So I can make my changes, change the price, save my order, and re-invoice. So pressing the invoice button, post the revenue, and of course I can print my invoice and email or send it to my customer. So that's our un-invoicing feature. It's worth noting that any feature that I've mentioned is in beta, means it's not available to all of our customers. It's there, but it's turned off. Now our customers can request these features to be turned on by contacting design@brightpearl.com, and we will enable those features for you to use. The next feature I'd like to talk about is point of sale tax codes. Now, this feature is for US clients only. And what it does, it allows you to set a tax code per point of sale terminal. Now, for those of you who are familiar with tax in the US, the tax on a sale is decided where the sale takes place. So we have many customers who have many stores across many cities, states, and counties. And therefore, a different tax code needs to be set against each individual sale as they occur in those shops. So, just to quickly demonstrate this, I'm going to go into my setup section and just show you where I can set a tax code that gets applied to a store, a point of sale transaction. So I'm in setup, and I go to integrations, and I'm going to click on point of sale, and this will take me to our point of sale settings. Sorry, actually, I need to go to the channels to find my point of sale channel. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to find a point of sale channel that I have set up on this account. So I've got one here, my Louisiana store. So I'm going to adjust this channel. And you can see here, I've already applied a tax code for Louisiana. So any sales that occur at this point of sale terminal will apply the Louisiana tax code. I won't demonstrate it, it's just a simple point of sale transaction. Okay, the next feature I'd like to talk about is an improvement to our Amazon onboarding. So this might only affect new customers, but I'm sure it will affect other customers who are doing stock takes. So the way we set up Brightpearl is we create the products to get the product data right. We import the inventory levels to make sure we have the correct stock in the system. And finally, we turn on the Amazon integration. Now, if Amazon doesn't have the same stock as Brightpearl, Brightpearl won't update that channel at that point with the stock levels. Brightpearl only sends a stock update to Amazon as the stock quantity changes in Brightpearl. So as sales orders come into Brightpearl, the on-hand inventory number changes against a particular product, and that stock change action initiates a push of that stock quantity to the Amazon channel. So what we're finding is that customers when onboarding into Brightpearl, we're finding that their stock wasn't up to date with the real stock that they were importing to Brightpearl and needed a quick way of pushing all stock levels up to that sales channel. Also, customers may be doing stock takes and they need to a quick way of pushing all stock to the Amazon channel. So to do this, I'm going to go to my setup, integrations where I already am, and this time I'm going to find Amazon. See my Amazon setting. So I've got a UK Amazon account here. So what I'm going to do is go to the Edit button. And you can now see we've got the sync inventory flag. So the sync inventory flag was already there. Obviously, it allows inventory syncing between Brightpearl and Amazon to be turned off. But by turning it off and turning it back on and saving that, that initiates a push of all stock levels in Brightpearl up to the Amazon channel. Okay, next new feature I'd like to talk about is multiple sales order statuses searching. So if I go to my sales order screen and click on recent sales, and what I want to do is filter my sales. So maybe I want to filter for all new sales and all backorder sales in one particular morning. Previously, I'd have to first of all select all orders for one status and then select all orders for another status. I can now multiple select orders from the order status filter option. Now, these multiple select drop downs are something that we're looking to introduce into more areas of the application to allow multiple select criteria. We've already put it into the goods note screen, and now we've added it here, and we will hit these one at a time as we find the time to do them. So you can see here I've selected some multiple sales order statuses, and I can now filter my sales order listing screen to get a certain set of orders and then process further, perhaps using the batch actions. Okay, next new feature I'd like to talk about is a warehouse option for our Shopify point of sale integration. So as many of you are aware, Shopify have released a point of sale solution, and Brightpearl integrates that point of sale solution as it does with the normal Shopify online store. Now, customers who have a Shopify store already in Brightpearl were not able to set which warehouses Brightpearl would allocate stock from. So we've now changed this. If I go into my connection settings screen here, but just to let you know how you get to this screen, if I go to Setup, Integrations, List Integrations, I can see the channels I have integrated into Brightpearl, one of them being Shopify. So if I click on the settings option, it will take me to this screen here, and I can adjust how Brightpearl integrates with this particular channel. Now, You can see here we now have a separate selection of warehouses, one for the point of sale channel and one for the normal Shopify sales orders that come into Brightpearl. So that means orders will be allocated for online sales from one warehouse, and orders will be fulfilled and shipped for orders that come down from the point of sale channel. Okay, the next feature I'd like to talk about is improved channel alerts for the Shopify, BigCommerce, and eCare and PowerShop channels for those customers who use those. Now, what this means is when Brightpearl downloads orders from those channels, Brightpearl connects the product using the SKU. So when a sales order is brought into Brightpearl, the order lines are connected to the products in Brightpearl by comparing the SKUs. Now, if somebody's added a SKU into Shopify and they forgot to add it into Brightpearl, Brightpearl will download that sales order, and that particular product will come onto the sales order as a miscellaneous service line. So what that means is Brightpearl will not allocate stock to that product, because it doesn't know which product to allocate it against, and it won't obviously reduce any stock. So if there was an error in the SKU, it won't reduce the stock. Now, what we've done to improve this is if we go into our channels section here, you can see this orange number here defines the number of alerts I have on channels. So if I go to my Shopify channel alerts, I can see I've got 2 alerts that Brightpearl has brought to my attention. And it's telling me that I have downloaded sales orders into Brightpearl for which there is no appropriate SKU. So it's been added to my sales order as a miscellaneous line item. Okay, the next feature I'd like to talk about, it's a beta feature, so it's not available to all customers unless requested via design@brightpearl.com, and it's the auto creation of shipment method names in Brightpearl. So as most of you are aware, sales orders come from various channels, Magenta and Amazon, and various shipment methods are selected by customers. Now, in Brightpearl, those sales orders were coming in with no actual shipment method against them. So what we've done, we've introduced a feature. If that shipment method doesn't exist in Brightpearl, it will create the shipment method as the order is downloaded and created in Brightpearl. So I'm going to quickly show you an example sales order where this has occurred, which has come from my Amazon channel. Okay, so this order has downloaded from Amazon, and as it downloaded, it created a shipping method of UPS priority mail. Now what that means is as we fulfill those orders, my warehouse staff can come into my goods out note screen, so I'm going to go to goods out notes due to ship, and they can filter out which orders they want to pick first. So obviously, if I have orders which have a shipping method of next day delivery, I can filter my goods out notes using the shipment method. And as you can see, this is a multi-select also. So I can say, right, everything that's first class, next day delivery, from all these various channels, I can filter into this list. And of course, then I can process them for print, pick, pack, and shipment to the customer. This is an area of the system that we are going to do more work on and find ways of grouping shipment methods. So if you'd like to get involved and give us some feedback on how kind of shipment methods you're working with and the pains that you feel at the moment, please get in touch with us via design@brightpearl.com. The product team would love to hear your feedback. Okay, the next feature I'd like to talk about is improvements to our customer returns workflow. So, as part of our focus on the core initiative, one of the things that came out quite high on the list was the ability to improve customer returns. So we've started working on this feature, and what we've done so far is actually only halfway there. So what I'm going to demonstrate this, I'm going to find a sales order, just bear with me. So I can see an order here, 15963. As I open this order, I can see it's a completed order. The stock's allocated, it's fulfilled, it's shipped, and it's been invoiced. So my customer is me, Alan Johnson, and says he would like to return this Britney Spears CD. Traditionally, I'd have to clone the entire sales order to a sales credit and then delete the lines off the order which aren't applicable to the return. We now have the ability to select specific lines. So I can select this line here that he wants to return and clone it to a sales credit where I can continue to process the return. So I could send the customer an RMA note perhaps from email, or I could just receive the inventory back into Brightpearl. Now that isn't our entire solution, that's our halfway solution, and we continue to work on this. Our next steps are going to be improving this workflow even further, making it quicker for the user to decide what they want to do with the return. Do they want to return it to stock? Do they want to credit it? Do they want to make an exchange? So this exchange procedure we're working on at the moment, and again, we'd love to hear feedback on this feature on design@brightpearl.com. Right. The next feature I'd like to talk about is channel filtering in our product listing screen. So I'm sure everyone may have already seen the show channel availability button. And what this button does, it puts on which channels this product is displayed on. What we've also done is introduced a filter so we can say which products are connected to which channels. Now, where this is particularly handy is for those customers who use Magenta as their shopping cart connected to Brightpearl. We can see which products have not been connected to the Magenta channel, and perhaps use that as a list of products that they wish to publish to Magenta from Brightpearl. Okay. As part of these releases, we've also fixed a number of bugs. Now, there's quite a lot on the list. We're really glad to say we've got through quite a lot over the last 3 releases. I won't go through all of them, but they are published in our release notes that I mentioned earlier. You can find these at brightpearl.com/releases, and every single bug in there that has been fixed has been mentioned. If there's any notes in terms of data fixes that were needed, we would have contacted you via our support team, and we test every bug that we find across every account to check if it's affected that customer's data. I won't go through them, but there's one we'd like to talk about, and that is improvements to the product list load screen. Now, this is an area of the application that we all work on a regular basis, and that is using the product listing screen. We use it for checking stock on channels, quantities, prices, etc., etc. We've done a lot of work in this area to optimize the page load time, so you should see a much quicker page load time in that area of the system. Okay, that brings us to the end of the features for this release. And what I'd like to do now is just move to a Q&A session and answer any questions that you may have posted. Okay, well, we still haven't got any questions, so I've either done a really good job of explaining it, or you're afraid to ask. Please ask us, and if we can't answer them now, we'll get us. You're always welcome to contact their support team via help@brightpearl.com. Okay, we can see people typing away, so I'll wait for you to get those questions in. While we're waiting for those questions to come through, just to let you know, our 457 release is going for our QA teams, and we're looking to make that release next week. As I mentioned earlier, that is our last release of the year. We're locking down to let you get on with your busy period over Christmas, and then we'll be looking to make our next release in January 2014. So, one of the questions that somebody's put on here is printing checks. Can we print multiple checks in one go? Yes, is the answer. So, I'll just quickly show you where this is. So, if I go into my vendors option here and go to list payments made, this shows all payments made against invoices. Let the screen load. And you can see I can either select all, or I can cherry pick which checks I'd like to print, and I can click the print checks in batch option. Now, there is a way you can do this, and you can control the check numbers. So if you have a strict process that controls this, it means you can batch print checks and not get the numbers confused. So the idea is you're going to post the journals against each individual invoice, mark them as paid, and you can write each individual check number against each payment. And then if you get that in the right order, then you can come to the print check screen, put your stationery in the printer, and it should flow through the right check number against each check that comes out of the printer. So the answer is yes. Of course, this is a beta feature, which means it's new, we're trying it out, and we'd love to get your feedback on this, how it's working for you. So one of the questions we've just had posted is Magento special price support. Could you type into the question further detail about that? Is it just literally being able to publish pricing into the special price fields in Magento? If so, there's nothing in our very current roadmap for that. However, you can control price lists by using multiple price lists in Brightpearl. So we'd encourage our customers to keep special offers in multiple price lists in Brightpearl, and you can switch between price lists that you publish in Magento. Or of course, you can update prices in batch via spreadsheet for Brightpearl, and that will update the channels that you have that price list connected to. Okay, so one of the questions we've just been asked is, if I have an item that is returned, once the item is returned and the sales credit is made, will my item go back into stock? Will my item relist via eBay since I've added inventory? So the way Brightpearl does this is, yes, it will go back into stock, but not straight away. So once you've raised the sales credit in Brightpearl, I'm just going to quickly show you a sales credit. On the sales credit screen, unlike the sales order screen, Brightpearl now gives you the option to receive inventory on the sales credit. Now, what that does, it doesn't put the inventory back into the available stock. It puts it in what we call a quarantine zone, because obviously that stock could be damaged and it needs to be inspected before it goes back into the available stock. So once it goes into the quarantine zone, the user can move it out of the quarantine zone to move it into the available stock. Now, the second part of the improvements that we talked about on the returns process is making that a much quicker path through that process. There's quite a lot of clicking at the moment. We want to make it much quicker. So we want to be driving a lot of this from the sales order screen. So if somebody's returning an item, we want to give the user options what to do. What do you want to do? Do you want to return it? Do you want to exchange? Do you want to credit the customer? Do you want to refund the customer? And rather than have the user go and enter all the different parts of the sales orders and credits that make up that transaction, Brightpearl does it all for you based on the options you selected. So we'd love to get feedback on how you process your returns via design@brightpearl.com. So somebody asked a question around Amazon Canada support. We currently don't support Amazon in Canada. It's a new channel, and there's no plans in the short term on the roadmap since it is so new. And of course, the main reason for this is because we are focusing on the core, and we're trying to improve the current design of Brightpearl, the workflows, any defects that are in the system, where all our attention is at the moment, to improve our customers' experience. So our customer who asked about Magenta special pricing, no, this isn't a feature we support at the moment right now. Of course, we do have a feedback forum to make this step known to us. So if we haven't given it a priority, you can raise this on our feedback forum. So it's brightpearl/feedback. And on there, what you can do is you can create ideas. Now, the idea is you don't go and type a new idea. The first thing you do is search for other people's ideas. And if that idea is already being created by another customer, then you can cast your vote against that idea. And obviously, the more votes that an idea gets, the more it comes to our attention, and we'll pick it up as part of our roadmap planning. Just to follow up on that special pricing, if the customer could log a support ticket around the special pricing feature and how it's causing you problems, we'll come up with the best possible method of dealing with that, the current functionality that's there. So another customer's asked us about our plans to integrate into recruiting.com, buy.com, or play.com, as some of you know. We have no plans in the immediate future, as we are focusing on the core and improving our current solution. Of course, Brightpearl does have an API. What this allows our customers to do is extend its current functionality, and a lot of our customers have written their own integrations into their own shopping cart solutions, other marketplaces, maybe some of the rarer ones, which they know might not possibly be on any roadmaps, and into other systems such as warehouse management systems. That API is available for all of our customers to use. And if you was looking to write your own integration because you have a core channel which isn't currently supported by our integration, we can help you select a third party and a developer. We have a list of developers on our partner pages, and we also have development partners as well who could specify and quote you for a specific integration. Get in touch with us via support@brightpearl.com, and we'll be glad to help. Okay, we're going to wrap up here, folks. Any questions that we didn't get time to answer, we will get back to you. We'll have a read through them, and we'll get back to each person. Our next release webinar will be early December. So for the release we make in November, we'll have another one of these webinars in December to talk about the features and things that have been fixed. And of course, a recording of this webinar will be posted on YouTube for your reference. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.